So I was trying to think of one line or one passage, one statement that Jonas makes that might provide the basis of your understanding of it, a clue to his central message. Of course, there's different ideas here, and you have to be aware of them. One of the ones that often I think goes unremarked by students on a first reading of this is that the idea of the city. Remember, Jonas's idea of the city is it's not just a physical place; it's also I don't know, a social space or um, the idea is that within the city, which is really the world of the human and human relations, there's such a thing as justice and morality. And that outside the city, we're dealing with things. We're not dealing with human beings anymore. We're dealing with things. And so justice, morality, ethics don't apply. And this was the way that human beings, at least according to Jonas, thought for thousands of years. That the establishment of the city, which is really a Greek idea, the idea of the polis, um, which shows his education. He's got a classical Western education, so that's the way those are his foundations. That within this space of the human world, that's where you had to worry about ethics and morality. But outside of it, you didn't, because, as he says here, this is on page 34, um, man's life was played out between the abiding and the changing. The abiding was nature, the changing, his own works. That is, nature could take care of itself, because nature could never really be affected in any kind of significant way by the actions of human beings. We didn't have that kind of power. And so, outside the city, where we can affect each other, and where ethics rules outside the city, there's no, it's just all whatever you want to do because it doesn't really matter. You can fish all you want, but you won't make any impact on the fish in the sea. Um, you can use whatever you find in nature, whatever raw materials you want to use for your technology, because it doesn't matter. There will always be more. You could never make any kind of, and human beings live like that forever. And Jonas, I would say the fundamental message is this is no longer true. That is, that the kind of impacts that we make on nature are substantive. I mean, it's obvious at this point. It might have been quite as obvious in 1973 when he published this, but it's certainly obvious now with global warming, especially. That the kind of impacts that we make on nature are substantive. I mean, we can change the face of the earth, and perhaps we always have, uh, but in such small ways and without the consciousness that we were doing it. That you could forgive us for not realizing it, but no, everyone realizes it now. I mean, you'd have to be a complete lunatic, really, not to think that there's man-made or human-made climate change. The global temperatures are going up with all of its effects because of human actions. It's very simple, right? Greenhouse gases and their concentrations being changed by industrialism. So Jonas is saying that the old divisions between what's within the city and what's outside the city, which was also a division of where ethical duties lie, has been changed. The city is everywhere now, right? Which is the problem of treating nature and non-human nature as a moral subject that maybe has rights and towards which we have duties, which is a huge change in the human condition, and that's what he's struggling with. Of course, this dislocation or this new horizon, you might say, is not just uh, in space. It's not just that now non-human nature becomes supposedly a subject, a moral subject. It's that the uh, the impacts over time have changed as well. So, with regard to what we do to each other, um, it's clear that the decisions we make in this generation, your generation, previous few generations, will impact human beings for the rest of the existence of the species, and that's new too. So it's a whole different horizon.